And welcome back to Watches Tonight. I snap back to life when the camera comes on. I'm inert here and plugged in the rest of the week.
Hi everyone, welcome back to the Watch Insider. My name is Brian. I am joined tonight by Tim Masso.
Howdy folks, welcome aboard.
We're back. We're
nice
back.
to be back.
Hey guys, welcome back. The Trading Desk, episode number 1 million and something.
All right, Patek Philippe Nautilus alternatives, because that's what you really want to know. The Rockstar watches. If you can't buy this for its current marked up price of $60,000 to $70,000, what's available to get your fix this summer of 2019? Well, here's the deal. I'm not going to pay twice retail, even if I've got the cash, for this watch that sells for $30,630 new. And I'm not going to wait years to get it either. I assume some of you might feel the same way, so I have legit alternatives for folks with imagination and soul, but an unquenchable thirst for integration of bracelet and case with serious watchmaking on the inside. Today we're speaking of the IWC Ingenieur. Now, it was created in 1955, the Wicked One, referenced 666 and 666 AD with the date that you see right there. Back then it was a Rolex Milgauss alternative, but in time it became something more. Our story of the Ingenieur starts in 1976, because in 1976, IWC hired a rather notable outside designer off a couple of rather famous commissions. Riding a high, first, why pay $30,630 for a Nautilus when you can own the original Gerald Genta at his peak IWC Jumbo Ingenieur from 1976. There were three big ones from the 70s that GG designed. One was the original Royal Oak 5402, one was the Nautilus 3700, and the final one was this reference 1832 Ingenieur. How many were made? Well, 40 millimeters, it lived up to its name, Jumbo, somewhere between 600 and about 800 in full stainless steel. In other words, an uncommon watch. Now, what's your damage today? Well, let's talk about $25,000 as the upper limit of what you'll pay to get the best one, possibly even with box and papers, if you slam down right now on Chrono24 and do a search. So you're talking about something that is a proper period and design peer of the original Nautilus and Royal Oak, and you're getting it for less than you would pay for a new 5711. I'll also mention AP's Royal Oak 5402 and the Nautilus 3700 are good-looking watches. But that said, neither one is scarcer than this IWC. Both of those watches from AP and Patek were built in higher numbers than the reference 1832 Jumbo. Now, unlike Patek or AP, the Jumbo didn't need a bailout from JLC, Jaeger-LeCoultre, to put a movement in the case, whereas Patek and AP used a movement, the 920 Bausch, that JLC designed for them. They, of course, finished it and made it their own, but this is an all-IWC effort. Inside caliber 8531 ES, a highly hardened, manufactured automatic movement from IWC, and this watch lives up to its name. It was anti-magnetic then, and it remains so today. So unlike the Jumbo, for AP and Patek, which were stylish watches and style pioneers, this one actually has a functional argument behind it that still holds up in this era of high-powered homes and offices where electronics are everywhere. I've got a magnet inside this computer that once magnetized my Zin. IWC Jumbo, never more relevant than today. Okay, the original Jumbo might be out of your price range. 25 grand is a chunk of change, and even if 20 still buys one, let's consider the singular 1988 to 1992 IWC Ingenieur 3508, better known, let's go full screen guys if we can, as the 500,000 ampere per meter. This, nope, not that one, although I appreciate the shout out for my Instagram. This was the original amagnetic watch. That 500,000 ampere per meter, that was a minimum, not a maximum. And I should mention that the definition of an anti-magnetic watch is 4,800 amperes per meter. So, where does that leave us? Well, it leaves us with a watch that is 34 millimeters, but wears like a 36 or a 37. Think date just on a full oyster bracelet. And it's historically just as significant as the Gerald Genta Jumbo. First, because it keeps all of his style. You've got the bezel, you've got the integration of lug and case and the full bracelet. And second, because this watch was the forerunner of today's highly anti-magnetic watches. From Omega, from Rolex, from others, inside a IWC caliber 35790 was a highly modded ETA 2892. They had a full anti-magnetic escapement and a niobium zirconium amagnetic hairspring that allowed this thing to deal with MRIs back in the day. There was a high rejection rate in the creation of the niobium zirconium hairsprings, which means IWC didn't get to make as many as it wanted. How many were made? Well, for about 4 years, somewhere between 1,500 and 2,500, so this is a scarce watch. Of course, it's also a sports watch, which means a lot of them were beat up, water damaged, and otherwise forgotten. Now, this watch can still be serviced by IWC and still achieve its 120-meter water resistance, which means that short of the tritium dials, which are exquisitely faded, you can still wear these as modern watches, anti-magnetic, amagnetic, and highly water resistant. I should also mention that the niobium zirconium technology used in this watch was later borrowed by a certain Rolex of Geneva, perhaps you've heard of them, for its parachrom blue hairspring. So the same basic alloy that went into this later went into every modern Rolex.
Here we have a Breitling Chronoworks. The watch was launched in 2016. From all outward appearances, you see a basic Breitling watch, but one of the unique features of this watch is, number one, it's entirely ceramic, the case and the movement and the buckle. Number two, you've got ceramic bridges, and a lot of high-tech advancements that Breitling has made to this watch. And it was a limited edition of 100 pieces. This is the first one. And, when I thought about this watch, or I saw this watch for the first time, it made me think of the first Fast and the Furious movie, when Paul Walker at Race Wars, they were looking at the
one of their rivals.
Yeah, one of their rivals, I forget his name, was driving like a Toyota, and he says there has to be at least 100,000 under the hood of that car. And to me, that's what I feel like this watch is. I mean, this is the AMG Breitling, right? Like, this is a watch where they went in, they dissected the movement, and they made advances to literally every single component of this watch, to where it is as high-tech as you can possibly get. And I just think that it was really cool. It was cutting edge. It was something that Breitling, obviously definitely did not need to do, but you can tell that it was a passion project of the owner, and I think that it was, executed really nicely. Again, at the $40,000 plus price point, very expensive. Have to give Watchbox a little bit of a plug. If you go onto our website and you do want to take a look at this watch, I think it's at a much more appealing price point now.
By the way, this watch is awesome. It's like the entire Patek Philippe Advanced Research series of technologies, plus a couple of other ones in one case. Breitling made its own balance, which I'm going to freeze in place so you can sort of see it. It's a combination of two separate metals, completely immune to thermal variation and free sprung, unlike a standard B01. This is the B01 Chronoworks. The bridges are not PVD black. They are made of ceramic. The plate is made of ceramic. The pivots for the second, third, fourth, and escape wheel are all silicon. So you have silicon pivots in ceramic bridges, so you actually take about 10 joules out of the movement and reduce friction in the process. There's an all silicon escapement lever and wheel, and there's a reprofiling of the wheels inside the clutch mechanism that adds a sort of spring to the leaf of the outer teeth. The result being that there's no play in the chronograph mechanism. All of this gaining the watch an additional 100 hours of power reserve compared to the 70 of a standard B01. And again, several different patents at play here, and this is revolutionary stuff. The greatest casualty of the new ownership of Breitling, this was started under the Schneider family, and I wish the Chronoworks project had continued. Until then, we're going to look back on this like the BMW M1. The ultimate BMW of the 70s, and they wouldn't do anything even remotely like that for another 30, 40 years. I hope it doesn't take that long for Breitling to release the Chronoworks 2, but I'm not necessarily optimistic. Nail this one, because there's only one number one in the world.
And, another interesting feature of this watch, I think, is if another brand had built this exact same watch.
Patek Philippe.
And, well, let's not even talk Patek.
Audemars Piguet.
Yes, so that's a good one to go with. So, let's spade a spade. Patek Philippe would not be making this watch, but I could definitely...
They would make the movement in the watch. They wouldn't make the outside of the watch.
I don't know that they would make like an all ceramic movement, but I could definitely see AP doing something like this. And I think that, again, if every feature of this watch, call it, other than the fact that it said Breitling on it and it said AP on the dial instead, they would be charging $100,000 for the same watch, if not more.
You can pick it up for like a quarter of that on our website. Fun piece and swimmable. The ultimate summer watch for 2019, and in ceramic, pretty much immune to scratches and scuffs.
So these watches are for sale. We are doing ourselves no service telling you that we don't like these watches, but it is funny as hell. And there is a saleable aspect to this in which they're just great value propositions because they're cheap.
They are dirt cheap.
But they suck. They are ugly watches.
All right, bad. All right,
so I will let
start?
you pick which one you want to talk about.
I will start with the ladies.
All right.
Because again, it is an unusual piece. It's a brand that I used to go visit all the time in Basel. I think they're gone now. It's one I could never pronounce, so we used to call it the Grisogono because we couldn't figure out how to pronounce the thing. But they used to make spectacularly intricate, complicated ladies' watches. Is really their specialty.
I'm going to take a stab and go De Graziano, but that's probably wrong.
It's better than I'm going to do. The bezel on this is absolutely incredibly beautifully done, machine cut, I'm sure, rubies. That cost a fortune to do. I mean, the retail on this was, I think you looked it up, it was insanely
$141,000.
Right.
So they're rubies, they're baguette cut, they're individually hand set. The
Right.
case is white gold. The thing is,
it weighs like
heavy.
a pound and a half.
Yeah, it's heavy.
Which not a single woman I know likes big, heavy watches. So it's heavy. It's got the shark skin strap.
I think that's Stingray.
Stingray, you're right.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
But so it's like a loud, crazy, overcomplicated in terms of materials, but not so complicated in terms of movement.
Right. Got a see-through back, which is nice.
Expensive.
Blacked out. Crazy expensive originally.
So that's a watch. I think it's up on the website for like $15,000, maybe a little bit less. $141,000 watch.
10 cents.
So yeah, when we talk about value perspective and what holds it, that's not it.
That's not it.
That's not it. But it's a watch you can buy for pennies on the dollar. If you are that woman that likes kind of a heavy watch,
it has that red dress you want to go.
You
with.
want something that's not quartz and it's automatic and it has a power reserve, and hey, you happen to like rubies.
We got the watch for you.
There you go. I mean, but when you're us and you're pulling through the vault and you see this thing and you ask yourself,
what is that?
Why do we own this? The answer to that question is it's a $141,000 watch that sells for $15,000.
Exactly.
So, hey, there you go.
We'll find a home for it.
Number one of the WTF watches. I'm gonna go here.
I knew you were going there.
I'm gonna go ahead and tell you that when I pulled this out of the vault, I was a little bit scared for us. Didn't know how long we owned it or what we owned it for at the time. This, the only way that I can explain this watch is that has to be where you keep the time stone if you're Doctor Strange. It is a weird watch.
It is completely. It's a weird watch with a strap, but you put that bracelet to it, and
let me give you guys
really
some scope
weird.
as to what we're talking. So to me, it's like so. This is the UN. Let me try and give you a close up on the dial here. So it's the name on this thing is I think it's the Astrolabium.
Yep.
Which is how you're supposed to pronounce it. That's the name's very weird. Oh, it's actually right there.
There you go.
Say it how you like. But this is basically a astral calendar. So it's a sundial. It tells you lunar time, sun time. It's got a calendar. I'm pretty sure it opens time space continuum.
There's got to be a black hole in there somewhere.
It's crazy weird in the most odd way possible. We've looked at some crazy cool watches that are like Thanos and I back in the day, like the Central Tourbillon from Omega that we said is crazy, but in the most awesome way.
Right.
This is weird in the worst way possible.
The bracelet is what kills me.
I tried to read up so I could actually tell you what this thing does. I don't think there's a single write-up where someone could tell you exactly how this watch works. No doubt that it's amazing. I mean, the complexity in it. Somebody spent a lot of time designing this watch.
You always made crazy watches. I mean, between the
bracelet
Freak and the other things, but I mean, this is just somebody went off the reservation on this
funky,
one.
Man.
Yeah, with the bumps on it, I don't really understand.
I don't think you can look at this watch and not think Omega Constellation. It has that same bracelet structure,
same constellation bracelets,
Roman numerals across this. So I don't know. But it is a solid chunk of gold.
Solid chunk of gold. And it still has a sticker on the back of it, so either somebody just got it serviced or it never worked.
Exactly. This actually has some horological pricing presence. So these, 5 years ago, these were going for $25,000.
Really?
Yeah. I think now they're closer to $15,000. But, I mean, hey, if you want to buy an all-gold kind of funky watch, I mean,
you will not see another one.
This is a total watch nerd watch, or you got to be some dignitary to Ford Ambassador.
I was just saying,
getting
ambassador to
yeah, you're getting in an armored vehicle, something like that. But all right, that was another watch that when I looked at it, I was like, well, I don't know what that is.